In civilized countries, gasoline now costs $8 to $10 a gallon.
Now you say civilized, you use that term. Will you just fill it in a little bit?
Well, I mean, the definition of a civilized country is a country where basic needs are assured. This came up in the debate last week where the moderator asked McCain and Obama, is health care a right, a responsibility, or a privilege? And it was gratifying that Mr. Obama did say that health care is a right. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you look at the constitutions of most other countries, include health care as a right. We don't have anything like that in our Constitution. So yes, I think that is the mark of civilization, and certainly access to daily needs is a mark of civilization. Mm-hmm. And
access to daily needs. Yeah,
access to daily needs.
Concept.
Right, and 1/3 of Americans cannot drive. Okay, so in a system of forced automobile dependency, mm-hmm. 1/3 of the population basically just doesn't count. Mm-hmm. So this is another strategic 90% issue is mm-hmm. if we can end forced automobile dependency, that also takes care of a lot of the vicious cycle of overwork and overconsumption. By some estimates, 40% of our economy has to do with forced automobile dependency. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you look at healthcare, healthcare is another major part of our economy. In fact, those two are probably the two major parts of the economy. In fact, more so even directly than militarism. Hard to believe.
And healthcare, by many, is considered an option.
Yes, well...
and people can buy it with their own money.
Yeah, those people have never actually had to go out and try to buy it and discover that in fact, you can't. You can't buy actual coverage. And go see the movie Sicko and just remind yourself that everything that you see in the movie Sicko, all those horrors happen to people. Every one of them has health insurance. So we've got some problems. Okay, I want to, because we have a limited amount of time, I want to actually, in addition to talking about these strategic 90% issues, I want to talk about one major challenge that we face mm-hmm. as activists that has been largely overlooked. And I don't know if this is going to show up here, but anyway, this book here is called The Big Sort. And
The Big Sort.
The Big Sort.
Okay, and who wrote that?
It's written by Bill Bishop.
Bill Bishop, okay.
Anyway, this is a new book out, and starting after the 2000 election,
this is a solution.
Well, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. So let me talk about the Big Sort as a challenge. Okay. So around the time of the 2000 election, we started hearing a lot about red states and blue states. Mm-hmm. But in fact, this is not really true about red states and blue states. In fact, what we have is urban versus non-urban. And in the book, he has a map, which again, this will not show up very well. But anyway, this is not going to show up. But anyway, you can find these maps online, and these are county by county maps rather than state by state maps in 1976 and in 2004. And what the map, that's kind of nice. And what the map shows is the white areas show the parts of the counties that have competitive elections, and the two different shades are either all Democratic or all Republican. And what you see is that in 1976, a huge part of the country is white, meaning that the counties are competitive, whereas in 2004, what we see is most counties are non-competitive Republican. The gray is Republican, and the dark, the black, is non-competitive Democrat. And you can see that
that's for 2004.
2004. So what's happened is
that shows looks like a total support
Well, no, hold on. This
Okay,
is number of counties. So let me finish here. Okay, so this is by county. It's not by population. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you see is that if you zoom in there on the 2004 map, what you'll see is that in the urban areas like San Francisco and over there in New York and these places. Anyway, those areas are solidly Democratic. So the big sort, is actually not by state. It's not by the part of the country. It's actually by urban versus non-urban.
That's the big divide.
That's the big divide.
Okay.
And in fact, if you look at the elections in the cities around the country in the 2004 election, it turns out that any city that can reasonably be called a city, I think the cutoff is 100,000 population, 100% of the cities in the U.S. voted for John Kerry. And you have to let that sink in, because that includes, Houston and Dallas and Montgomery, Alabama, and Tallahassee, Florida. I mean, all these places that you think of as being in the middle of, red state Republican territory. Every one of those cities, 100%, voted for John Kerry.
So that's the big divide then.
That's the big divide.
Between an urban culture and a
non-urban.
And
non-urban.
It's non-urban.
It's non-urban.
Okay.
And if you look at where the power is in the country, in terms of who elected W. Bush, it's those people in the non-urban areas who go to those mega churches. The biggest selling books in the United States are the Left Behind series.
Yes.
The series of books about the post-Armageddon world, or how it is that the Armageddon is going to happen in our lifetime. Almost half of Americans believe that Armageddon is going to happen in our lifetime. That makes it a little hard to have
and the big intellectual magazines do not write about
well, that's the problem. Anyway, it makes it very hard to plan for the environment, or even to plan for an economy, to balance the budget or anything, if you believe that Armageddon is coming in our lifetime. And as you just said, Dave, it's not just that the intellectual magazines don't cover this. I mean, if you watch the network news, you don't know this. I mean, we talk about the corporate media being biased against our progressive ideals, but in fact, the corporate media isn't covering the Armageddon people either.
It isn't. That's right.
That's right. So we're missing this big divide, and in the past. We were able to do great things in this country because there were certain shared values. Everybody went home at night and they watched, Walter Cronkite on television. Now everybody lives in their sorted out community where their friends and their neighbors and their radio stations are all telling them what they already believe. And now with the internet, people can just get news that's filtered just to affirm their views. I was just on a road trip out to Wyoming, and you can turn on the radio, and you can travel for hundreds of miles at a time, and you'll hear 2 Fox News stations and nothing else.
And that's it.
And that's it. And that's So this is a challenge that we face, because a lot of the time we feel like, all we need to do is sort of get rid of the corporate control of the media and develop our alternative news sources and just educate people and make people understand what's going on. But the problem is a lot of these people have a very different understanding, and they have very different values. If they believe that biblical Armageddon is coming in our lifetime, they're not going to be educated about global climate change because they think we're stupid for wasting our time on that, when in fact we should be preparing for saving souls for when Armageddon comes. So,
do you have I hate to bring up that word.
A solution.
Do you have a solution for the seeming disparity or tremendous difference between the urban and the non-urban
well,
cultures?
Yeah,